You eat a banana every morning thinking it is good for your heart. But what if it is silently increasing your risk of a stroke? Today we are not just giving you a list of fruits. We are opening the doors to a very special clinic. Welcome to the Hidden Risk Clinic. Welcome back to Healthier Daily, the channel where we give you the simple science-backed truths to live a stronger and more independent life after 60. I'm your host, Dr. Ben Carter, and to be our lead consulting physician in this very special clinic today, we are joined by a doctor who has spent his life uncovering the hidden truths that are often missed in conventional medicine. It is our great honor to welcome Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara.
Thank you for having me, Ben. In medicine and in life, the most dangerous thing is not what we do not know. It is what we believe for certain is true, but is in fact false. For many years, we have been told a very simple and a very beautiful story: all fruit is good for you. And while this is a beautiful story for a senior, it is a dangerously incomplete one.
And that is exactly what our guide is all about today. In this special consultation, we are going to open the case files from Dr. Hinohara's clinic, and we are going to review the patient stories that reveal the hidden dangers in some of our most common and beloved fruits. In our journey, we will review the case files from three main risk categories. We will first investigate risk category number 1, the sugar assault. We will then look at risk category number 2, the chemical interaction. And finally, we will uncover risk category number 3, the physiological threat. It is a true blessing to have this kind of knowledge, to be able to look at our daily and our most simple habits with a new and a much wiser set of eyes. If you are ready to enter the Hidden Risk Clinic and to learn the truths that could truly save your life, please type the number 1 in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe to our channel. It's completely free, and you will not want to miss a single one of these important and life-changing case studies. Okay, doctor, the doors to the Hidden Risk Clinic are now open. Our viewers are here for their consultation this Thursday morning, ready to learn. Let's open our first patient file. What is the most common and the most deceptively simple risk category that you see in your practice every single day?
Yes, our first and most common risk category is the one that hides behind a beautiful and a very sweet smile. I call it the sugar assault. This is the risk that comes from fruits that are very high in natural sugars and that have a very high glycemic index. And for my patients, the damage from this assault is not just about their diabetes. It is about the health of their beautiful and their very delicate blood vessels. Let us begin with our first case study, the story of Mrs. Jeanette Morris. She was a beautiful 80-year-old retired school teacher, and she was a woman who was so very proud of living a natural and a very healthy life. She avoided all of the processed foods and all of the sodas, but her favorite snack every single morning while she was reading her newspaper was a very generous bowl of beautiful red grapes.
And what happened to Mrs. Morris?
One morning, while she was writing a beautiful birthday card to her granddaughter, she told her daughter that her vision had suddenly become very blurry, and just a few moments later, her hand began to tremble and she could not remember a simple word. Her daughter, in her great wisdom, rushed her to the hospital, and the doctors there confirmed that she had suffered a transient ischemic attack, which is what many people call a mini-stroke. It was caused by a small and a very temporary blood clot that had blocked the flow of blood to the left side of her brain.
And her story is a perfect and a very powerful illustration of the hidden danger of this sugar assault. Let's look at the deep and the very profound science of what was happening inside of her body. The beautiful and sweet grapes that we buy in our grocery stores today are not the same as the grapes that our ancestors ate. They have been bred for decades to be incredibly and unnaturally sweet and to have no seeds. This means that they have a very high glycemic index. When a senior whose body is already a little bit less efficient at managing blood sugar eats a large bowl of these grapes on an empty stomach, it causes a massive and a very rapid spike in their blood glucose levels. And this sudden surge of sugar does two very dangerous things to the beautiful and delicate lining of your arteries, which is called the endothelium. First, it triggers a powerful wave of vascular inflammation. The beautiful and smooth lining of the artery becomes very irritated and very sticky. And second, this constant inflammation day after day can cause tiny and microscopic tears to be able to form in that delicate lining.
And it is at the sight of these beautiful and tiny tears that the danger truly begins.
That is exactly right. Your body in its great and beautiful wisdom sees these tiny tears as an injury that must be repaired. And so it sends the platelets to be able to form a small and a very beautiful clot to be able to seal the wound. In a young and a very healthy person, this is a beautiful and a very normal healing process. But in an older person whose beautiful arteries may already be a little bit stiff or a little bit narrow from the normal process of aging, these healing clots can become the very thing that blocks the flow of blood and that causes a devastating stroke. So the grapes were the beautiful and the very innocent-looking trigger for this dangerous and silent inflammatory cascade. Now, Doctor, I know that Mrs. Morris is not the only case file that you have in this category.
No. Let us look at our second case study, the story of Mrs. Louise Hammond. She was an 81-year-old woman, and she was a perfect example of a healthy and a very active senior. She walked every single day, and she was very careful with her diet, and every single afternoon she would have a large and a very beautiful Honeycrisp apple as her healthy snack. But over time she began to notice a strange pressure in her head when she would stand up too quickly. And one evening, while she was preparing her dinner, her speech suddenly became slurred. It was another mini-stroke, and her lab work showed the exact same story as Mrs. Morris, unstable blood glucose patterns, and the clear signs of endothelial inflammation.
And her story teaches us another very profound lesson, and that is that not all apples are created equal. As the source text for our video so wisely points out, many of the most popular and beautiful apples in America, like the Fuji and the Honeycrisp, have been bred to be almost as sweet as a candy bar. Their high glycemic load can trigger that same dangerous inflammatory cascade that we saw with the beautiful grapes. If you love apples as so many of us do, you must learn to choose with wisdom. A beautiful and tart Granny Smith apple is much lower in sugar, and it is much higher in the beautiful and brain-protective polyphenols. And you must always eat your apple with a beautiful source of protein or a healthy fat like a handful of almonds or a small piece of cheese. This is what helps to slow down the absorption of the sugar and to prevent that dangerous and inflammatory spike.
And our final case study in this category is the most powerful and the most direct example of all. It is the beautiful and the very tropical mango.
Yes, as the source text for our video so shockingly reveals, just one single cup of a ripe and beautiful mango can contain nearly 45 grams of sugar. That is more sugar than you will find in an average donut. For a senior who is already dealing with a little bit of insulin resistance, this is a true and a very powerful sugar bomb. It is a direct and a very powerful assault on the beautiful and delicate lining of your arteries. And it is a risk that so many of our beautiful seniors are taking every single day without ever even knowing it. It is a truly blessed and a wonderful thing to be able to understand that even the most beautiful and the most natural of foods must be eaten with a great and a very profound sense of wisdom and of balance, especially as we enter into the beautiful and the very sacred later chapters of our lives. So our first round of consultations in the Hidden Risk Clinic has revealed a very clear and a very dangerous culprit, the sugar assault. We have seen how the high glycemic fruits, like the grapes, the sweet apples, and the mangoes, can create a dangerous and inflammatory environment in our beautiful blood vessels. This is a critical first lesson for our viewers to learn. But doctor, as we continue our consultations on this beautiful Thursday morning, I know that there is another and perhaps a much more subtle category of risk. What is our next patient file?
Yes, our next category of risk is much more subtle because it is not about the sugar at all. It is about the beautiful and the very powerful natural chemicals that are already inside of the fruit. This is risk category number 2, the chemical interaction. This is when a beautiful and a very natural compound in a fruit begins to interact in a very dangerous way with an aging body or with the medications that a person is taking. Let us open our next file. This is the case study of Mr. Raymond, a 66-year-old retired carpenter from Ohio. He was a wonderful and a very active man. He took great pride in eating a very healthy diet. And every single morning, he would start his day with a beautiful bowl of oatmeal, and he would slice one large and beautiful banana over the top. And he would take his blood pressure medication with a glass of orange juice. It was a beautiful and a very healthy routine that he had followed for over a year.
And what happened to Mr. Raymond?
One morning, his wife found him collapsed on the floor of their bathroom. He could not move the left side of his body, and his speech was very slurred. At the hospital, the beautiful scans revealed that he had suffered a small but a very devastating stroke. And the blood tests revealed the shocking culprit. His blood potassium levels were dangerously high, and this had interfered with his beautiful heart rhythm, and it had triggered the formation of a blood clot that traveled to his brain.
And his story is a perfect and a very tragic illustration of this hidden chemical interaction. Let's look at the deep and the very profound science of what was happening inside of his body. We have all been told for our entire lives that the beautiful banana is a heart-healthy food because of its high potassium content. And for a young and a very healthy person, this is true. But as the source text for our video so wisely says, once you are past the age of 60, everything changes. First, as we get older, our beautiful and hardworking kidneys naturally begin to slow down. They do not filter all of the excess minerals out of our blood as efficiently as they used to. And second, many of the most common medications that our seniors are taking, especially the blood pressure medications like the ACE inhibitors, can also cause the body to hold on to more potassium. This creates a perfect storm. The aging kidneys are not filtering out the potassium efficiently. The medication is telling the body to hold on to even more potassium, and then the person eats a large banana, which delivers a massive and a very sudden dose of over 450 milligrams of potassium into the system. This can cause a very dangerous condition that is called hyperkalemia or high blood potassium. And this is what can disrupt the beautiful and delicate electrical rhythm of the heart, and it can create the very dangerous blood clots that can lead to a stroke.
So the beautiful and heart-healthy banana, when it was combined with his aging body and with his medication, became a very dangerous poison.
It did. And this is why for our beautiful seniors, context is everything. Now, doctor, I know that you have another very important case file in this category, one that involves a very popular and a very tropical fruit.
Yes. Let us now look at the case of Mrs. Clara Hughes, a 77-year-old retired choir director. She was a very active and a very sharp woman, and she had replaced all of her processed sugary desserts with what she believed was a much healthier option, a few beautiful slices of fresh pineapple after her dinner every single night. But one morning, she woke up feeling very foggy and very disoriented, and her daughter noticed that her words were slurred. It was another small stroke, and her blood work revealed a very interesting and a very complex set of clues. She had elevated glucose levels, she had signs of nighttime acid reflux, and she had irregularities in her platelets. It was a perfect storm that was created by her nightly pineapple habit.
And her story is so very important because it shows how one single fruit can attack the body on multiple and very different fronts. Let's look at the science. First, as we know from our last section, the beautiful pineapple is very high in sugar, and this was causing a dangerous blood sugar spike right before she went to bed. But second, the beautiful pineapple contains that very special and very powerful enzyme bromelain. In small amounts, the bromelain can be very helpful for our digestion, but in excess, it can begin to interfere with our body's beautiful and very delicate blood clotting process. And third, and this is the most hidden and the most surprising danger of all the beautiful pineapple, is a very acidic fruit. And when it is eaten at night, it can trigger a silent reflux. This is where the acid comes up from the stomach while you are sleeping, but you do not feel the classic and painful burning sensation. And this silent reflux can cause very small and very subtle changes in the pressure in your airway, which has been shown in scientific studies to be able to reduce the flow of oxygen to your brain while you are sleeping, which dramatically increases your risk of having an early morning stroke.
So it was a beautiful and a very complex three-pronged attack, a truly hidden and a very dangerous risk. And this brings us to our final case study in this category, the case of Mr. Daniel Rhodes, an 84-year-old retired train conductor. He had a history of a mild heart attack, and he was taking a low-dose aspirin every single day and every single night. He would end his dinner with a small and a very beautiful bowl of fresh cherries. But after a few weeks of this new and beautiful habit, he began to experience headaches and dizziness. And one morning, he woke up very confused and he was vomiting. At the hospital, the scans revealed something very terrifying. It was a hemorrhagic stroke, a brain bleed. His blood had become too thin to be able to clot properly, and a small and a very delicate vessel in his brain had ruptured.
And his story is a perfect and a very tragic illustration of a compounded effect. Let's look at the beautiful science. The beautiful and red cherries contain a very special and a very powerful natural compound that is called a salicylate. And this beautiful and natural compound is a blood thinner. It works in a way that is very, very similar to aspirin. So Mr. Rhodes was taking his prescribed medical blood thinner, the aspirin, And at the very same time, he was eating a beautiful and a very concentrated source of a natural blood thinner from the cherries. And the combined and the compounded effect of these two beautiful things was that his blood became far too thin. And this is what led to the terrible and the very life-threatening brain bleed. It is a truly blessed and a very profound wisdom to understand that even the most beautiful and the most natural of foods are a powerful and a very potent medicine, and they must be treated with great and with profound respect. And we love sharing this kind of holistic wisdom with our global community. To help us see our global community, please let us know what city, state, or country you are watching from. We love hearing from all of you. So our Hidden Risk Clinic has now examined two very different but equally dangerous categories of risk. We have seen how the sugar assault from fruits like grapes and sweet apples can create a long-term inflammatory fire in our blood vessels. And we have seen how the chemical interaction from fruits like bananas and pineapple can create an immediate and a very dangerous crisis when they are combined with an aging body and with common medications. But now, doctor, as we continue our consultations on this beautiful Thursday, we must now open our final and perhaps our most alarming set of case files. What is risk category number 3? The physiological threat.
Yes, this final category is the most dangerous of all, because it is about how certain fruits can trigger a direct and a very dangerous physiological change in an older adult's body. These are not just simple interactions. These are fundamental shifts in the body's beautiful and very delicate balance. Let us open our next file. This is the case study of Mr. Elmer Bryant, a 79-year-old retired bus driver from Georgia. He was a good and a very kind man. He was taking a statin for his high cholesterol, and he was taking amlodipine for his high blood pressure, and he was very proud of his healthy habits. And every single morning, he would start his day with a tall glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. He called it his sunshine in a glass.
And what happened to Mr. Bryant?
After feeling a little bit dizzy for several days in a row one morning, he tried to stand up from his favorite chair, and he collapsed. At the hospital, the beautiful scans revealed that he had suffered a mild ischemic stroke. But the blood tests revealed the true and the very shocking mystery. His medication levels were dangerously elevated. It was not because he had taken too much of his medicine. It was because his beautiful and very healthy glass of orange juice had blocked his body from being able to clear it.
And his story is a perfect and a very frightening illustration of a drug-food interaction that so many of our seniors are completely unaware of. Let's look at the deep and the very profound science of what was happening inside of his body. Your beautiful liver is your body's master processing plant. And inside that plant, you have a very special set of machinery that is called the cytochrome P450 enzyme system. This beautiful and very complex machinery is responsible for breaking down a huge number of common medications, including the statins and the blood pressure drugs that Mr. Bryant was taking. But certain citrus fruits, and especially the grapefruit, but also the Seville oranges, and even to a lesser extent our common navel oranges, contain very special compounds that are called fernocoumarins. And these compounds are like throwing a wrench into the beautiful machinery of your liver. They jam the system. And when that beautiful system is jammed, your body cannot properly break down the medications. And so the drugs begin to build up in your bloodstream to very dangerous and very toxic levels.
So the beautiful and healthy orange juice was acting like a poison in his body.
It was. The buildup of his blood pressure medication was causing his blood pressure to become dangerously unstable, and the buildup of the statin was increasing the inflammation in his blood vessels. And this beautiful and very dangerous, unstable environment that was created by this simple glass of juice is what allowed a blood clot to form and to travel to his brain. Now, doctor, if the orange was a case of chemical interference with our liver, I know that our next case study is a surprising and a very dangerous paradox.
Yes. Let us now look at the case of Mr. Howard Larkin, an 82-year-old retired postal worker. He was a very wise man. He was walking every single day, and he was avoiding all of the processed sugars. And one of his favorite habits in the hot summer months was to eat 2 or 3 large and beautiful slices of watermelon after his dinner to be able to cool him down and to keep him hydrated. But he was also taking a diuretic, a water pill, for a mild heart condition. And one morning, he woke up with a severe vertigo. And when he tried to stand up, he collapsed. At the hospital, his blood pressure was dangerously low, and his blood work showed a very important clue. His hemoglobin was very concentrated. His blood had become thick, and the scans revealed that he had suffered a small ischemic stroke.
And his story is so very important because it shows how a fruit that is 90% water can actually cause a dangerous dehydration. Let's look at the science of this paradox. As the source text for our video so wisely notes, the beautiful watermelon has a natural diuretic effect, which means that it makes you urinate more frequently. Now, for a young and a very healthy person, this is not a problem. But for an 82-year-old man whose natural thirst response is already a little bit weaker and who is already taking a prescription diuretic, this creates a perfect storm. The medication and the watermelon were working together to be able to pull too much fluid out of his body while he was sleeping. And as he became dehydrated overnight, his blood became very thick and very concentrated, like a syrup. And this thick and very slow moving blood is the perfect and most dangerous environment for a blood clot to be able to form, especially when your beautiful blood pressure naturally drops during your sleep. It is a beautiful and a very dangerous combination of thick blood, of low pressure, and of slow circulation.
So the beautiful and hydrating watermelon was actually drying him out from the inside. A beautiful and a very dangerous paradox indeed. And this brings us to our final and most controversial case study of all, the case of Mrs. Elaine Carter, an 80-year-old woman who loved her beautiful strawberries.
And her story is so very important because it shows how even our most beloved superfoods can have a hidden and a very dark side for our seniors. Let's look at the two-pronged attack of the beautiful strawberry. First, as the source text for our video so wisely reminds us, the conventionally grown strawberries are one of the most heavily sprayed fruits in our entire food supply. They are at the very top of the dirty dozen list year after year. And as we get older, our beautiful and hard-working detoxification systems, our liver and our kidneys begin to slow down. So these toxic pesticide residues can begin to build up in our tissues, including our brain. And these neurotoxic chemicals can cause a great deal of oxidative stress, and they can damage the beautiful and delicate lining of our blood vessels, which is what can trigger the formation of a blood clot. But the second attack is even more subtle. The beautiful strawberries are also very high in natural compounds that are called purines. And when your body breaks down these purines, they create uric acid. And while we often associate high uric acid with the painful joint condition of gout, modern science is now showing us that high uric acid is also a powerful and a very direct trigger for vascular inflammation, for high blood pressure, and for blood clot formation. So for Mrs. Carter, her daily and beautiful habit of eating the conventional strawberries was like a slow and a very silent daily dose of poison. It was a slow-burning fire of pesticides and of purines that was constantly and quietly creating the perfect and most dangerous conditions for a stroke. Doctor, this has been a very sobering and a very eye-opening series of consultations in our Hidden Risk Clinic. You have opened up the case files and you have shown us how even our most beloved and seemingly healthy fruits can hide a significant stroke risk. You have shown us how they can impact our brain health by creating the perfect and most dangerous conditions for dangerous blood clots to be able to form. This is a profound and a very important new way for all of us to think about our senior health. Now, for our viewers at home who are watching on this beautiful Thursday and who may now be feeling a little bit afraid or confused about what they can and cannot eat, what is the doctor's prescription for fruit? How can we enjoy the beautiful and blessed gift of fruit safely as we get older?
Yes, that is the most important question of all. Our beautiful prescription for fruit is not a list of foods that you must never eat again. It is a set of 3 very simple and very beautiful golden rules that you must follow to be able to enjoy your fruit with great wisdom and with great safety. The first golden rule is timing. You must eat your fruit in the morning or in the early afternoon when your beautiful body is active and it is able to use the beautiful sugar for energy. You must never eat a large and a very sweet fruit at night right before you go to bed when your beautiful circulation is at its slowest. The second golden rule is combination. You must never ever eat a sweet fruit alone on an empty stomach. You must always combine it with a beautiful and a very healthy source of protein or a healthy fat, like a handful of nuts or a beautiful plain yogurt. This is what helps to slow down the absorption of the sugar and to prevent that dangerous and inflammatory sugar roller coaster in your blood. And the third and final golden rule is portion. You must learn to enjoy a fruit as a small and a very precious jewel, and not as a large and a very common stone. A few beautiful and sweet grapes are a wonderful and a very delicious treat. A large and a very generous bowl of grapes is a sugar assault on your body.
So with those beautiful golden rules in mind, Doctor, what are some of the safer jewels from the source text that our viewers can enjoy with a little more confidence?
Yes, the beautiful and the low sugar berries like our blueberries and our raspberries are always a very wise and a very safe choice. The beautiful and tart green apples like the Granny Smith are also a wonderful option. The beautiful and creamy avocado is a true superfood for our brain and our blood vessels. And of course, the beautiful lemons and the limes, when they are used as a beautiful and vibrant flavor enhancer, are a wonderful and a very blessed gift for our health. I know that this conversation today may have created some fear in your heart. But the goal of wisdom is not to create fear. It is to replace fear with a beautiful and a very calm confidence. Wisdom is not about the removal of joy from your life. It is about learning how to enjoy your life safely. You must not be afraid of the beautiful gift of fruit. You must simply learn to respect it and to enjoy it with the beautiful and the very profound wisdom that comes with a long and a very beautiful life.
That is a beautiful and a very empowering message to end on, Doctor. Thank you for sharing your incredible wisdom from your Hidden Risk Clinic with us today. And for all of you who are watching at home, if you found this guide empowering and it gave you a new and a wiser way to think about the food on your plate, please give this video a like. It truly helps others who may be unknowingly putting themselves at risk to be able to find this important life-saving information. And be sure to share it with a friend or a family member over the age of 60. If you have not already, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. It is completely free, and it ensures that you will not miss our next deep dive into your health and your well-being. We would be so honored to have you as a part of our growing community. And for our community discussion today, we would love to know which case study or risk category from our clinic today. The sugar assault. The chemical interaction or the physiological threat was the most shocking or eye-opening for you. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. And finally, it is absolutely essential that you speak with your personal doctor or a registered dietitian before making any significant changes to your diet, especially if you have existing health conditions or are taking any medications. Our conversation today is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for the direct medical advice from your own trusted physician. Thank you for being with us. Be well.